quit. It's crazy. All right, here we go. Hitting the live button. Let me get out. Oh, now I'm super laggy. That was weird. I disappeared for a minute.
That was crazy.
I think I'm back. Let's see here.
Somebody saying, how do I get Darlene is asking how to get in the webinar. The link's been posted all over the place.
Push some buttons. Let me see here. I'll get it out there. But first, I got to make this thing public so it can be shared. Edit privacy. Change that thing. Done. Changed. All right. So there's that. Darlene, let me get it. There's a way to do this. There is a way to do this. It's with this link. You can post it in the YouTube feed real easy. And in the webinar feed. I just can't post directly to Facebook. So let me get my Facebook page. I don't know, but I think maybe if I'm lucky and I hit the right buttons in the right order, I may have gotten it to go live within the event itself.
Nice.
I was trying to. Like, it made it look like that was a thing that could have been done. So I just did it. Just went for it.
Yeah, nothing blew up. We're good. It's all good.
Let me see. All right. I'm going to drop it in the comments here. Why am I in here as best damn bookkeeping? I want to be in here as me. I want me to be me. There I am. Here I am. Let's make sure that this thing. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Here we go. Just gonna drop it in the comments.
You got that traveling stuff going on, man. Fog brain.
Dude, I'm toast. And I can only do one thing at once because I'm a dude. Sherry says she could see us. We're here. All right. The StreamYard link is out there in case we have cool things to share or you want to follow up. I see Sherry's in there, but if you want free stuff that we give away, we're going to drop it into the webinar link. That's the StreamYard link that I just put in the Facebook comments, also in the YouTube comments. So if you didn't register for the webinar, this is a webinar. It's also just live on Facebook because we have that technology to do that. So why in the hell not? Tonight, we're like recapping it all. This is episode 5 of our recruiting webinar series. And recruiting is super, super, super important. I will go to my grave touting that it is the most important investment you can make in your business. It's not marketing. It's not your equipment. It's not your vehicles. If you're in the home service space, your employees are the most important investment. And people spend so little on their recruiting. I was talking to a guy today that does more than $2 million in sales. He's like, man, I feel like I'm spending a lot on recruiting. I spent $800 last month. I'm just like, dude, you spent $28,000 on marketing. You spent $8,000 on recruiting. Like, you're spending all of your, like, and he's got to find business. But if the $800 is getting what you need, cool. But if you have any employee with a shadow of a doubt that has bad behaviors on your team, like, get them the hell out of there. You can be way more aggressive on your recruiting. Like, you need to be investing like crazy. So this whole webinar series is just about that, about people investing in their recruiting so that you have the team that you want. You don't have employees that aren't showing up, that aren't, oh, there goes my internet again, doing slow internet thing.
You're good. I got you. We got you.
But it's all about just building an awesome team that you're proud to be leading. How shitty am I right now? How laggy am I?
No, you're cool. It's probably more shittier in your view. You're good.
Stealing
you're good. You're good.
Okay. It's keeping up. Oh, yeah, because
Doug Brown just showed up.
Let me get out of here. I opened Facebook in my other window, and that's Doug Brown in the house. Dave says, the stream is strong. Mine was getting all glitchy because I had us on my other screen because I was trying to drop the link in here. What's up, Doug Brown? But I just can't say enough, like, make sure you're getting the best employees in the world. If you're running a home service business, that's the most important thing that you have. And we've all had good employees and we've all had bad employees. Do I need to say anything else? Like, why would you settle for the bad employees when you can do the things that we've been talking about over the last videos and go get good employees? It makes running your business so much more fun, and life is way too short to not like the business that you have. And it all starts with the employees. Let me do this, Shawn. I want to recap and just quick hit on the last 4 videos in case somebody's like, oh shit, this is webinar 5. What have we done so far? And then we'll get into the team building, culture, retention stuff, because you can do all the recruiting stuff in the world that you want, but if you're a shitty leader and you don't know how to keep people and retain people, who cares how good your recruiting is? Everybody's going to leave and you're just going to have to keep doing it over and over again. So video, what's up, Nikki? Nikki is in the house. Nikki got Doug 3 amazing candidates just today. So we started off webinar series number 1 was all about doing labor market research, making sure you know what people are searching for, where they're searching for it, and how to go get after them. It's like fishing, right? If you're going to the wrong, I just got back from a fishing trip, so this is the best analogy I've got. But if you are fishing where the fish aren't, it doesn't matter how good you are at fishing, there's no fish there. So the same with recruiting. You can be great at recruiting, but if you're recruiting where the applicants aren't, then what you gonna get? Not the right people. So do your labor market research. That was video number 1. Video number 2 was now how do you attract the right people in that market to get a bunch of clicks? And the way we teach it, you want to get a shitload of clicks, as many as you can possibly get, because of what we're going to talk about. We did in video number 3. You can go back and watch it. But how to write it like a job ad and not a job description, making sure that you're the sexiest job post out there and not just some other digital crappy job post that people are clicking on. But when you call them and say, hey, are you coming to the interview? And they're like, who is this? That's how you know your job ad sucks, right? It's like, they're like, who is this? They don't remember you. Your job ad wasn't sexy. They forgot they even signed up for your interview. Number 3 is all about assessing people and filtering as quickly as possible. So you get a huge funnel, you open it up, you dump that funnel full, and then you filter, and you got to do it fast. And Shawn, some things I think you had mentioned is 1 question on the screen at a time, not open-ended, kind of multiple choice style questions. I think you had 1, the rate your luck, and then explain your answer. But just trying to make it fast and easy. We need to get a score based on, as Shawn would say, how long are they going to stay with my company? Because that tells us everything. If we know how long they're going to stay with my company and we have data that supports that, that's who we want. If they stay with my company a long time, that means I like them and they like me and the other employees like them too. So that's what we want. So that was episode number 3, was just all about assessing people. And then I ranted for well over an hour in episode 4 on group interviews. I'm super passionate about group interviews. I just love it. It's so efficient. You don't have all the no-shows. I mean, you still have no-shows, but who cares? Because it's a group interview. And I am confident you get better people. You can tell who's better. You can tell who really wants to come work for you. Instead of you determining who you want to come work for you, you do it in the reverse. You let them determine who really wants to come work for you. And that's all you're trying to filter, is who's going to love working for me. And man, that's like the start of a great employee relationship, is when they love to come work for you. Like that, if they love to come work for you, there's a really good chance they're going to work out. So I taught all about.
One quick thing in there too, Dan, and I think I mentioned it on that particular one, was how important it is for the owner of the company, or like if you're a larger company doing a couple $1 million or something like that, and you've got a general manager, or not, this can't be like a recruiter or an account manager somewhere, or it's got to be the higher up as possible in the company. You don't want people recording a freaking Zoom, sending it to you in an email, and think you've got a relationship going with this guy or this gal that you're trying to get interviewed and hired. It's got to be the top chalant of your company, really.
Nikki's fist bumping Doug for the 3 candidates. Darlene says, I put so much of what you guys have taught me this past 2 weeks in play. It's been a game changer. Fist bump. Boom. Our boy Jared Chanowski says, hey, business nerds. What's up, JC? Safe travels, buddy. Safe travels. I think he's over in the Philippines right now. Just kicking it. So number 4 was all about doing group interviews and just using those to be really efficient and telling stories, making sure you're finding the people that really are attracted to you and want to come work for you. That's what it's all about. So now we get to the final, which is how do you keep them? Because if you go do all the things we taught you in 1 through 4, that's great. You're going to have a lot of candidates. But just like recurring customers, even if you're great at marketing to them and selling them, if you can't keep a recurring client, your business erodes really quickly. If you can't keep a employee, like not only is training really expensive, so you have all that investment that just went in. Usually in a lot of our businesses, they bring a buddy with them when they quit. They like to quit in pairs or 3s sometimes. And if the customers had relationships with them, especially in something like maid service, where the employee knows the customer, man, employees leaving can be so detrimental because even if they don't steal customers still leave. Like customers don't like a new face every time, right? They want consistency. They want the Big Mac, as Shawn Day used to preach in our maid service businesses. You got to keep giving them the Big Mac every single time. So we're going to talk a little bit, just kidding. We're going to talk a lot of bit about how to retain employees. And everybody's going to have their own way to do it. And obviously hit the comments, smash that comment button and drop in what you like to do to keep employees happy and have fun at work in your business. But Shawn, let's kick some things back and forth. I got bullets. This was one I actually wrote bullet points down because I was thinking of stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be a good one. That'd be a good one. And then I had that next thought, which was I should probably write these down because there's no way I'm going to remember all these thoughts I'm having.
Dude, I gotta be honest. We went through some tornado stuff last week. Normally, I really like to be prepared. So I'm just going to go with what I've learned over the last, say, 35 years or so. I'll go with that.
I bet there's a few things. I bet there's a few things from the last 35 years. Let me hit you with this one.
Sure.
And then we'll just kick it. We're just gonna kick this back and forth. Antonio says he needs some employees. Good thing we're making this webinar series because I think there'll be some nuggets in here. Good to hear from you, Antonio. Here's my first thing, Shawn. Yes. And this goes back to what you have always said, that recruiting is really just marketing. And when we think about our marketing process and our sales process, the whole thing is all about setting good expectations. Generally, we don't even really need to sell them. So much of our lead flow is coming at us, right? Some of us go and knock doors, but in a lot of cases, the leads we're getting are people seeking us out, clicking our thing and saying, hey, what do you guys do? Can you tell me what it is? Our sales process is all about setting expectations. And the exact same thing goes along with recruiting. From the job ad to that first kind of assessment that they get, to the first interaction with the business that they get, to the whatever your interview is, to the first day, right? We need to set great expectations of what's going to be great and what's going to be bad and what the pay is going to be and what's going to suck about the job and what this is going to look like and that's going to look like. And then the closer we can deliver on those expectations, it's just like any relationship, right? If you're dating somebody and you set expectations up here and you deliver down here, that relationship ain't going to last too long.
That's right.
And whether it's dating somebody or managing employees, it's exactly the same. It all starts with setting good expectations. Shawn, do you have any people where you can remember? I'm trying to think back in the day where we set really shitty expectations and just totally whiffed on someone that was probably good.
Well, I can tell you, my recruiting was pretty much, hey, Go find somebody, your neighbor, anybody you can, and bring them in like next Thursday if you can. And that's how I recruited back in the day. But we were terrible at it before we had to be really, really good at it. I mean, it's amazing to look back and see we grew to almost 100 employees and had no idea what the hell we were doing with recruiting. And then like we looked at each other one day and go, we got to figure this out because this is freaking now become insanity, literally insanity. And so I think that's what led up to it, right? I mean, so for 6 years or whatever it was, we had insanity. And that's really, if I look back at it, that sums up pretty much the first 3 or 4 years you and I were, doing business with each other and figuring things out. It was insanity. There was nothing expectation wise, but I will say one of the biggest things that I can give advice on with this is try to find one sentence that's a powerful message and use it all through your messaging, in your job ad, in your follow-up, in your screening process, in your video that you put on your job app or your career page or your website specifically for employee stuff, and in your interviewing. One of the things we recommend is a simple sentence that we tested that is this: let me tell you why you're going to wake up every morning and love to come to work for us.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever that is, feed it to them, spoon feed it to them like crazy. That sticks, man. And they follow that message wherever it goes. Whatever that message is for you, make it happen because it works.
Yep. I think back to when we were running the maid service business and our old employee, Erica, who got left on the side of the road by her manager. I still can't believe that lady.
That'll be a good leadership example too.
Yep. That one she's one of the ones where I'm like, I just didn't set good enough expectations. Now I talk to people about the type of people I hire. Back then, I just was like, yeah, we're just gonna hire a bunch of people who want to go clean stuff. I didn't set expectations about the jackass that's going to be your manager. I wish I could have had that one back. But yeah, and now when you have good expectations to set, it like forces you to really get your processes dialed in. I think I used to not. Yeah, Dave says walk back to the office. It's a true story. Yep. Aria was our manager, and she left Erica at the side of the road.
Like the day before or after Thanksgiving too. I mean, it wasn't like,
it wasn't like she was like, get out of my car. It was like Erica's car broke down. Aria went to help her and was like, oh, we tried to jump your car and didn't work. So I'm out of here. Peace. And Erica's just sitting there by her broke down car on the side of the road. I don't remember where I was. I think I found out about it later. I don't even know if I was in town when it happened, but holy cow, that was embarrassing. But I think as you get better at running your business too, then you get excited about setting expectations. I think early on, maybe not early on for everybody, but earlier on, we struggle with some of these things. We're finding our groove, and it's hard to set good expectations because we don't really know. And so it's trickier building that right from the get-go.
I came across something pretty neat, maybe a couple months ago, actually, is there's a lot of big companies and all kinds of companies that come up with a vision statement. And I never really thought much of that or heard that much about it. You don't read a lot of books that talk about it. Mm-hmm. You hear mission statement, culture, leadership, but a vision statement. And I started tinkering around with that. And we're actually doing that right now for Hire Lead Chill, trying to figure out, we've got it pretty much dialed in, but a vision statement's different because it's sort of a really high level thing and it's a longer term, I guess, vision, if you will. So I'll give you an example.
I would expect a vision statement would be about a vision.
Yeah, something like that. And it's a statement.
Yeah.
so is that Ron Burgundy or Michael Scott? I can't remember. So like Apple's vision statement is to make the best products on earth and to leave the world better than we found it. I mean, and that's a great vision to have. Spruce it up a little bit, maybe for our home services. And, you can change the world with a sentence, a vision statement, and feed that to them. That's who you are. This is what we want to do. This is our vision. It really, it forces you, like Dan said, to think about those things. And it doesn't have to be super complex and off the charts, but I think it's something to think about and make it a sentence. Don't, the expectations here is basically a sentence, maybe two, but I wouldn't be putting it in.
Yeah. Got to be short and sweet. Got to be short and sweet, or the employees won't take it to heart, won't remember it.
Yeah.
That transitions me to a different bullet point I have. And Dave kindly pointed out, bullets are greater than sentences. Totally. Whenever I'm like, I just need a little nugget, just a little bullet. Jacob got left at the side of the road too, by the way. He said that's why he doesn't drive Fords anymore. But talking about the vision takes me to core values, and core values is a tool, are a great expectation setting tool. They're personal, right? If you're a small business owner, your core values are your core values. Like, they're what's really important to you. And it's important when you are recruiting people and trying to set those expectations that's the backbone of it. Like, here's what we believe in. These are the most important things. And if you don't, and I tell people flat out in my interviews, I'm like, if you don't hear me talk about these core values and tell the stories about how we got these, and your reaction isn't fuck yeah, then I don't want you to work here. Like, your reaction to those core values has to be like, let me in. I need to be here. I'm all about this. Everything you're saying is what I bleed. So let me in and hire me, right? Like, that's who you're looking for, not somebody that's like, oh, those are nice, right? If you just think they're nice, well, thanks. But go find a company with core values that make you feel more like fuck yeah. Like, that's what you need. And that's who I want to have come work for me. I don't want the people that think it's nice that I give them a job. I want the people that wake up every day like, hell yeah, I need to be doing this thing. This is my purpose, right? Cole says, I tell applicants, you're going to love most days with the occasional tough one, but it's better than hating every day working somewhere else. I like that one.
Indeed.
That could be his vision statement.
Right.
But I think core values are just so important. And I like short and sweet and an acronym.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly, I think the acronym is super important so that I can remember it, because I want to just talk about it all the time. And I don't, mine is BEST, for best day in bookkeeping, but it's blessed, efficient, steadfast, and trustworthy. And again, it's just got to be all shit that you are and that you pride yourself in. And it's got to start there. And I like the acronym because I can remember it, and then I can talk about it more and help them remember it. But I don't like to make it corporate.
Yeah.
I think core values have this slippery slope of getting really boring and really corporate. And so I try to wrap fun things in, like awards and other things like that. And then I make them goofy so that it's not just talking about your core value every time, but you get a funny gift or something with it. Shawn, did you guys rewrite the hire, lead, chill?
We're literally we're in the process of doing that. Literally right now, we've had some changes and things we're doing and stuff like that. And we actually had a meeting on it, not last week, but the week before, and we were supposed to follow it up on last week, but that didn't happen. So we're doing a vision statement. And one of the reasons that we did it too was because it's something, anybody that's watching this or anybody that catches this later on, I'm going to let you set up a day with me, and I will help you create your core values. I'll help you create your culture. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be. I'll just take you through sort of the process that you can use to determine what you feel comfortable with and what you think, it's just sort of like I'm your ears, man. And I might be able to pop something in your brain going, man, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but it did remind me of this and that and I'm going to help you find your passion. If you don't know what it is, you guys might be all right. But if you're not, or you're looking for a change, or you're kind of dragging out, there's nothing wrong with changing culture and some leadership skills and developing. But core values are kind of like very, I think, principle based on who you are and your soul. I look at it almost like a constitution. I mean, that's what what is your constitution, man? Who are you? We talk about your why and things like that. But the other reason, there's two reasons I like calling it a constitution. One is it's who you are. but I like also to have our core values sort of be that tool that we go, whoa, Joe, Jane, come here for a minute. Let's sit down and talk about those core values.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we just had a problem yesterday. Let's review how maybe we reacted. And I might say, you know what? I didn't hold within the core values as your manager, your leader, your boss, or the owner of this company. And I apologize about that. Maybe I got off the handle and yelled when I shouldn't have, that type of thing.
Oh, you mean like me with my kids today? I was just digging on them. I was eating them up.
It's funny because I put a little note in on Facebook and posted, Dan might be a little bit late. He's trying to corral the kids, man.
I was just feeling it. I was just in a yelly mood. They were yelling right back.
The core values, just bring them in and say, listen, if you know, one of the core values is teamwork. That does not, I don't think that encompasses leaving somebody on the fucking side of the road and then taking off. Okay. And we might have you might have been outside of the Constitution here a little bit and the core values. And it almost probably in every circumstance will have somebody open their eyes if they're being honest and saying, you know, you're right. That was not even close to being, I like positive. I think every freaking company in the home service space should have positivity somewhere, somehow in there, because that's probably the number one thing that crushes everything is negative freaking people suck.
You know why it's not in my new one?
Why is that?
The word best doesn't have a P in it, or it'd be pest. Sound good? So literally I was like, man, what's a good B acronym for the word positive? Because I always want to start with that one. You know me.
Right.
Blessed was what I came up with, where I can spit it.
Perfect.
I like so I like what you said about core values. Like, yes, it's how you attract people, but it's also how you fire people. And I'm gonna get into firing as a bullet point as well here.
Nice.
Yeah, and I had positive attitude written down as a bullet point as well. So I think we hit on a couple there. Core values, one last little nugget. I like doing monthly awards, which I need to get on. Now, like, our team is getting big enough and that I need to start getting my core value awards built out. I already have the Steadfast Award. It's a sticker of Rocky getting punched in the face. That's just like month end you're just Rocky just getting beat to shit at month end. So we got to get the Steadfast Award for whoever just toughs it out. But I really like when we had our home service businesses, we started putting our core values on our shirt.
Yeah.
Instead of our services, we'd list our core values. And man, that changes the tune for your employees, where they're like, oh, this is why I'm here. It's not because we clean houses. It's not because we pressure wash this. It's not because we mow that grass. I'm here because I believe these 4 bullet points. And that's why I'm here. Yeah. And the customers dig it too, because the customers already know who you are, right? When you show up at their house or wherever it is that your job is at, they already know why you're there. They don't really need your company shirt. It helps them tell that you're a worker, right? But man, it's way cooler when they look at your shirt and they see those core values instead of Bill's pressure washing. Like, that doesn't mean anything to them, but your core values do. So I think that's just a cool little nugget. It's a good conversation starter too, and a good reminder of why we're doing what we're doing for everybody, right? When you have your team of people standing there and they're all wearing that shirt, everybody's seeing everybody else's too with the core values on it. Let's talk about the positive attitude a little bit more, because I think it's important that we're hiring people with a positive attitude. 99% of our hires across our industry, we can teach them what it is that we do, right? For the most part, especially in like the technician space. If they are a good hard worker, we can teach them. But you can't teach positive attitude.
Right.
You can try to manipulate it, but I've never successfully manipulated. And I like to tell my Tony stories all the time, but I've worked my ass off with people and I just could not help them change their attitude. Maybe I just suck at it. Maybe there's a way to do it. But for the love of God, if you figured it out, please let me know, because I have not. Like, people, either by the time they're old enough to come work for you, the way they cope with their attitude and can like self-adjust, that's already like baked in. And I don't know how to change it, but you know, it's like love. It's like fairness. It's hard to define, but you know it when you see it, sort of thing. And that's just positive attitude. Like, you can just one of our old sales guys used to say, like, I'm just a Labrador. I'm out there wagging my tail, man. I'm just trying to find somebody wagging back. And I'm just like, that's the positive attitude.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to find that employee, right? You're not trying to find a bulldog that's grouchy and grumpy and smells funny. You're trying to find a Labrador, somebody with a positive attitude that's always wagging their tail. Like, everybody loves to pet a Labrador, and the Labrador loves them right back. He's like, Labrador doesn't care who you are. They're like, what's up? You got 2 hands? Let's go. Like,
Yep.
scratch my ears. And so I think that positive attitude is so, so important for you, right? That your employees have a positive attitude so that it makes your life better. For their coworkers, because that's where the drain comes in, is when you get somebody with a bad attitude, they just bring everybody down. And that's what causes people to leave, right? And then you're out great employees because you kept, and we'll get to firing in a second here. But the last thing I'd say about positive attitude, Shawn, is it's equally, if not more important, that you have a positive attitude. Like, there's days where you're not going to feel it. You're not going to be coming with a positive attitude, but everybody's watching you. Everybody's looking at you. And on your worst day, they still need to think it's a great day. And that's a tone you got to set. And that's a burden. Like, when things are going wrong for you, when tornadoes tear up your neighborhood and you're cleaning shit up, you still got to show up for the team, right? You still got to be like, hey, here's what we got going on. Here's like, I'm going to be out doing this. We got this. Everything will be fine. We're good. We'll keep trucking. And that attitude is contagious. And I think that's probably the hardest part about positive attitude, is bringing your own when the chips are down, or when you get bad news, or when things aren't really going your way. Sometimes you just gotta fake it, but everybody's counting on you to be the first one with the positive attitude.
Yeah. There's the 2 things with positive attitude is, and it encompasses core values too, is when I used to talk about positive attitude more, when I was doing more day-to-day stuff and hiring stuff, I would say it like this, and it's this important. I would say, one of our core values is positive attitude. This is not a platitude. This isn't a go get them, guys. It's a moral obligation. It's a moral obligation that you are positive at all times at work, even when life's happening, even when it's difficult, when you're down, and you that doesn't give you a right to bring other people down too. It just is. That's not moral to do that, in my view. And it's my core values. So that's the conversation we're going to have about it. Now, we know life goes on. We'll help you through whatever we have to help you, as long as when you're at work, we're positive. If you want to talk to me or anybody here after work, that's another part of our core values, that we're a team here and we're working for each other and we're there for each other. So I think if you say something that is passionate to you, it's super helpful, because platitudes don't go anywhere. Everybody can say, okay, positive. Of course, yeah, he wants to have positive company. No, it's freaking a moral obligation that you're that way, okay? And I've called myself on it. When we went through that Indeed shit, man, it was absolutely the most brutal. It was probably the most brutal thing business-wise, as far as like operational stuff, that was sort of like, it was so absolutely just brutal. I don't know how else to describe it. And because it lasted for a long time too. And it was like, we couldn't figure out how to fix some things, but I got the team together and I said, listen, man, I gotta tell you guys, I have to apologize to everybody, man. I've been positive for like 2 weeks straight, nothing but bitching and griping. And I just said, I stepped outside of the core values, man. I got to apologize to you guys, and it ends today. It ends now, and you'll never hear it again. And it was just like when somebody else would do it, I'd say, no, we're going to pound through it, man. That was yesterday. What are we doing today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. It's a slippery slope. It's kind of like working out and then getting out of working out. It's hard to get back into it. Sometimes you got to be like, nope, this is what we got to do. I know we got to get back on the right track here, and here's what we're doing.
Yep.
Cole earlier said, I meant to show this when he said, I'd love an episode on rewriting your core values. I don't think we need to dig into it a whole lot, but Cole, I'd say hit Shawn up on grabbing time with him and he can help you work on them.
For sure.
It is nice. It's cool to do with your company. When I was doing mine, I actually sat down with Ben Smith, a buddy of mine, and was bouncing stuff off of him. Cause like your best friends know you the best, right? Your spouse knows you the best. And so bounce stuff around them. Like what's the contagious? They tend to like you. So what's the most contagious part of you? Like, what is it that other people see in you? Because if it's actually like a core value that you think you have, but you don't, like your best friends or your spouse might be like, you're forcing that one a little bit.
Yeah.
Like that's what you want to be, but that's not actually the day in, day out, like what you're doing. And so maybe someday, but you got to work on that one if you want to put that down as a core value, because it's not shit you want to be, it's shit that you are. But the positive side of it, of course. Darlene giving you another fist bump, says HLC changed our world. Hiring is so much better now. Thanks for the shout, Darlene.
Amy, what's up? I would say there's one more thing too with I think maybe as important as positive attitude, because they kind of go hand in hand. If I was to come up with some other one, I'd have it in my culture or somewhere, and we're going to, is focus on the solution, not the problem.
Yeah.
Identify the problem, focus on the solution, because when you are focused on that problem, it's so harmful, it's so inefficient, it's so bitchy, it's so negative, and it kind of goes with the positive thing. But like we'll have a meeting about things and we'll bring up issues, and then it's just like I hear this. I literally have in our meeting on Tuesdays, the focus on the solution. What's the problem? We'll identify it, and then we're done. I don't want to hear it again. I just want to hear the solutions after that.
Yeah.
And that's been super useful.
I have a really good example of that because my boy Joe Devino here says that Green Bay mug is negative. Joe was fishing with me in San Diego in Mexico last few days. So the problem is Joe's a Vikings fan.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. I'm a cheesehead. The solution is fuck the Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.
You could both agree to that.
Yeah, we'll agree to cheer against the Bears. We figured that out, and we got along great. Amy said, my grandpa called it RMA, right mental attitude. Do right, be right, think right, on and on.
We had a coach called PMA, positive mental attitude.
Yeah. It changes everything, man.
Yep.
I got a couple more here. Cole, definitely back to Cole's on the core values. I don't know that we could do a deep dive episode on it. I laid out a couple of the nuggets of how I like to use them. I think the big thing is some sort of acronym that can be like fun and goofy and just that fits you, right? 3 to 5 letters. I think if it starts getting more than 5 letters, you ain't gonna remember it either. Something 3 to 5 letters where you can come up with some meaningful words. Darlene said, "Whoa, no, I like the Bears." Oh, Darlene, then you and I can collaborate against the Vikes. That's fine. Like Joe and I can talk smack about the Bears. You and I can talk smack about the Vikings. We can just keep doing this thing. I have a couple more here. One of them, trying to think of which one fits best after talking positive attitude. I think the firing people. I think I want to talk about firing people next because I suck at it. And I'm trying to be more aggressive with it and get after it faster. But it tends to be when I'm firing somebody, like the reason we rewrote our core values back in our Blue Skies days was because of an employee that had a really shitty attitude. And I was like, we don't have a core value to fire this guy by. He meets all of our core values, but he's got to go. And so that was when we were like, oh, these core values aren't ours anymore. These are somebody else's. Like, we got to rewrite these to make them be ours so we can fire people that suck. And that was kind of the deal. That was why positive attitude became such a big thing, is you just can't work here if you suck. But firing bad people, the I've been bad at it historically, and only did I get good at it recently when I really embraced always be recruiting. Because I've said always be recruiting for a long time, and we'd always have some job ads going, but I didn't build a list. I mean, like, and I got to do it again now, but like the last time I had 10 people on my hopper list. I used to think 3 or 4 people in waiting was a lot. This last time I had 10 that I wanted to hire. The goofy thing was once I had 10, I realized I'm only ever even going to hire the top 5.
Right.
I got to the bottom of that list and I hired one person that I let go within a week. It was just like, nope, that wasn't the one. And there were probably some signs already, and now I just like shored up what those signs are.
Yep.
And I probably just wouldn't hire somebody like that again in the future if they had those same challenges. But I think the better your recruiting is, the better your firing is. If your recruiting isn't good, you tend to keep shitty people a long time because you're scared and they know it and they got you. And so you just end up holding them, right? They hold you hostage.
That's horrible.
Because they know you don't have anybody to replace them.
There's so much damage that goes with that, man. And it's such an easy solution. But it was one that took us like 10 years to figure out, right? 7 years to figure out. But so that is probably the number one thing that will keep you up at night. And have the freaking spouse get divorce papers ready, man. And that is the one. I have no control over my company. I've got people that I basically despise. I don't want to wake up and go to my own business, my own company that I own because of a human being that I am paying every week that I can hardly stand to look at. What is that? That you have no business doing that. Why are you doing that? It's insanity.
We've all done it. We've all done it. We've all been insane or are insane.
Why do you think why do you think my veins popping? I'm thinking about it going, I know. It's just a nightmare. And then, the worst thing maybe of it all is those couple A employees that you can't live without, and they have just been there and you don't even think about them because they're just doing what they're supposed to do, are starting to get pissed, and they're probably not going to tell you. And that's not good, man. That's when you really get into trouble, when they're gone. You've started to change who they are because they're looking at you going, there's no leadership now, right? They're looking at you going, how are you doing that for that asshole? Why am I waking up every single day, coming out of bed? You got me working 5 hours a day more than I ever have because this asshole shows up when he wants to. That's the worst, I think, of it all. And you kind of know that, and you kind of see an attitude shift in those A employees, and then your culture goes to shit. And once your culture goes to shit, good luck getting it back, man. Good luck.
Yeah, it's hard. It takes a long time and probably a lot of new employees a lot of times because everybody that was there has the wrong way of going about it.
Darlene's got a good point, man. Read that one up because that's probably hits the pavement right there, right?
There's a counterpoint to this. It's not a counterpoint. It's an agreeable point, but it's the opposite thing that happens. But Darlene said it's hard when they're nice people, but they're C players. That was literally the 2 that I've let go from Best Damn Bookkeeping. That's what it was. They weren't C players. Maybe one was a B plus, but I was like, nope. It's not really good damn bookkeeping. It's Best Damn Bookkeeping. And I probably shouldn't have hired them. It was Shawn, I think I mentioned this to you. It was the first person that I hired.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep, they're good. They'll be good. And they would be good. But after recruiting, I was like, oh shit. Like I wouldn't have hired them first after I had just recruited all these people. I just jumped the gun because it's the reactive hiring thing. It's like, oh shit. Like I need somebody. This person will be good. Let's bring them in. When if we have a list of people, I talked about this during the group interviewing episode. When you have a list of people that you can pick from, man, you're just way pickier. Yeah, Darlene says, but we want A. I don't know if she meant A or A. Like she wants 4 A players. But I think to Darlene's point, yeah, it's hard when they're nice and they're C players. I think it's equally hard, or maybe even harder, when they're an A player when they're assholes.
Yeah.
or they're an A player with some other bad behaviors, but they're super productive and they just crush it. When they're an amazing producer and they just have other negative behaviors, I think Tony, who we created the positive attitude core value for back in the day, dude would crush it. He was in early every morning too. He was like one of the first ones there.
Yeah.
He'd have a good attitude at the shop in the morning. By the end of the day, he was just such a negative Nancy. It was like he might have been some bipolar or something like that.
Yeah.
Think about Zach Venny back in the day. Like
Yeah.
Zach was an amazing producer, but he just hit some really hard times. He just could not stay positive at all.
Yeah.
And he ended up leaving, right? But those are the hardest ones where it's like they're just such good producers.
Yeah.
And they erode the culture so fast. They're just negative.
I'll tell you what, with yeah, you're right, man. And Darlene, the other thing I think to think about, and this has never happened to me, I've never had to sit down with somebody that was a C player but a really nice person and have to let them go, and then they reached back out like a week later or 2 weeks later and then really hated me. I can tell you that I've had to let go a lot of C players and have run into them like at the grocery store or something, and we have a great conversation. It's genuine, and we laugh about some stories and stuff like that. They know they found something else that's more suitable for them.
Yep.
And that's typically Emily comes to mind that we sent down to Tampa. She's so happy right now. It's not even funny, and I've seen her, and
Yep. Yeah, it's not, and
it's good for everybody. It's not easy, but it's good for everybody.
Yeah, and I think when we say C player, it's not like they're a C person, right?
Right.
They're a great person. Just our job isn't the right job for them. And sometimes there's maybe a different job in our company. They have all the right behaviors, but the job we hired them for isn't the right one. And that's on us, right? They're trusting us to place them correctly. That's not their fault if we hired them into the wrong job. That's our fault. We didn't figure it out right. We didn't filter it out right to make sure that they were going to be the perfect fit for that job.
Which goes right back to your original point of expectations too, right?
Mm-hmm.
We missed that a lot, and that's our fault.
Yep. That and the two that I've had to let go, that was it. I was just like, I botched it. It's not their fault. They're both great people, super good people. And like you said, even one of them still message on Facebook. I've given her a referral for a different job. I'm like, whatever I can do to help. Like, I totally got your back.
Yep.
Just I hired you that was my fault. Like, that wasn't your fault. I hired you for a job that wasn't the perfect fit. I like Dave said, fire with a smile.
Yeah, baby.
Darlene liked that one. Darlene liked that one too.
Chris, Amy's got another good point too.
Chris Cassell has, hello, governor.
I saw that.
I like that. Yeah, Amy said, super hard when they're so good in the honeymoon phase. And then wham, right in the face, we're hit with the crazy. And that's just how it happens too. It's just like I thought everything was fine. What, like, where did this nonsense? That takes me back. I forget her name, but the gal that was like our manager in Cleveland for years, and then all of a sudden, heroin became her friend, and her ex-boyfriend with a drug problem.
But that's what I was going to mention. Is sometimes life they change, man. Somebody that I'm not the same guy I was 10 years ago, and but some people, their life changes, they change. They get mixed up with wrong characters and have a baby maybe or not, whatever it is, life changes and the job's not maybe suitable for them for 5 years. Maybe it's just suitable for them for 3 years, and that's all right. But yeah, I mean, there's sometimes that we may, we're not perfect. I've always said recruiting isn't a game of perfection, man. It's a game of just increasing the odds along the spectrum as much as you possibly can. And all you can do is increase the odds as much as you can. And then you're going to win more than you're going to lose. And that's the name of recruiting. So, Amy, that ain't ever going away. Just like no-shows probably ain't ever going away anymore. Those are there. We look them in the face and say, hey, you're just not going to screw me today. You're here. Go away. Next, and move on. You maybe look at your screening a little bit, but just the other thing is your expectations, your screening. And sometimes shit's going to happen. Somebody's going to sneak through and they're going to be an asshole, and they never showed it. And the data didn't come through on that one, man. Right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where once your recruiting gets good and you hire some really good people and you know exactly what you're looking for, it makes it. I mean, the the first person I had to let go, I waffled about for a while. I was just like, I think I jumped the gun and maybe they're not the right fit. And then eventually I was like, yeah, it's not the right fit. The next one, I was just like, nope. I mean, it was a week, and my team started to question what was going on with them. And I was like, man, the minute the team starts questioning you, what shitty leader would I be if I was like, oh no, like they're gonna be great, and the team's like, really, Dan? Like you even around this place? You see what's going on right now? Right, the minute the team has lost them, they're lost.
Yeah.
I really like back in the day, Derek Christian said a thing that just always stuck with me, and I found it to be true every single time, which is the minute you think about firing someone, you're gonna fire them.
You're right,
but you might as well fire him right now. And again, that goes back to if your recruiting is good, you will fire him right now because you already have other people ready to go and you're not nervous about being short-staffed. If your recruiting sucks, you tend not to fire him right now, and you tend to convince yourself that something's going to change at some point in time, and it doesn't. Right? It might change for a little bit here or there. Even Tony, who I love to use for our positive example or our negative example to explain, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But,
yin yang.
Yeah, even with him, we hired. Like I was so then we parted ways with them. Where's my internet? There it is. Am I back now?
There, now you are.
Yeah, we literally. I don't know that we technically fired him the year before, but like mutually parted ways, and we still brought him back the next year. Oh, so bad. So bad.
One of the things you need to watch out for is trends. If something's not happening very often, it's we can deal with it. But I've had people, and we're able to track this at Higher Lead Chill for our clients. I've had situations where I'm like, there's something going on after about 90 days. Mm-hmm. You're losing people at 90 days. You need to sit down and figure and good people that they didn't want to lose. It wasn't like I needed to fire them type of thing. So there's something there. You need to track that too. Why, it was like in St. Louis when we had a home service business out there. It's like people all of a sudden, like after months of going really well with stuff, people weren't showing up day one. And then like I flew down there or whatever, and I'm looking at this going, well, no wonder they're not showing up on day one. There was some bad shit happening, and now we figured it out. So trends are huge. Good trends, pound resources towards it. Shitty trends, get it fixed quick.
Yep. I want to talk. I got two more bullets to hit on.
Teresa, you didn't miss anything.
No, nothing. 52 minutes of just waiting for you.
We're going to recap everything right now for T-Bone, man. I'm so glad she's here, Teresa.
I got two more bullet points and then whatever else. One of them is culture/events and just doing cool stuff with your team that's memorable and impactful. And then the other is fair pay. Oh, Chris Jones is in the house. Chris is coming on the podcast soon here. Chris says this advice is gold, guys. Unfortunately, so many of us learn this. I'm going to read this whole thing. This is a nice little essay here. Unfortunately, so many of us learn this the hard way. Whenever we onboard a client, and Chris has a recruiting business as well, like a staffing recruiting business. Whenever we onboard a client, we ask about core values. Oftentimes we'll see leaders read them off a list if they have any at all, but do they actually operate within them? If nothing else, values can help screen out the assholes from your company with the defined reason instead of some bullshit words on a Google sheet that you have to dig for when we ask. Totally. Ellie Mason in the house. What's going on, Ellie? Thanks for checking in. Teresa, I was pickleballing. Shawn Day, love the pee ball. I haven't dabbled in the pickleball yet. But awesome. I like ball. I like playing ball, and I like pickles. So I don't see why I couldn't get into it. But culture and events I want to hit on, and then just like pay per performance and fair pay stuff.
Yep.
Let's do pay structure.
Yeah.
And the bullet point I wrote fair pay. And I wrote fair back to what I said earlier because it's hard to define, but you know it when you see it. And it's a thing. And if people feel like they're treated fairly, then it's not even about the money. It's about the equality and the fairness. And that's why I like paper performance programs versus hourly programs, is because it's fair that the people that produce the most and work the hardest and show up every day would make the most amount of money. You can't argue the fairness of it. So I like programs like that. It's way easier to do for technicians, especially when your job sizes are smaller. Maid service, window cleaning, pressure washing. You could do it in lawn care. You could do it pest control. When you start doing like hardscaping projects or high-rise window cleaning, not that it can't be done, but the bigger your projects, the harder it is, because your payroll spans over weeks sometimes and over pay periods. But if your payroll is in a tighter time frame, or if your job sizes are a tighter time frame, some sort of paper performance system where it's production based paychecks. And I won't get into all the rules of it. But I think that's huge for retention. People will come for like an hourly rate for security, but they won't stay if they don't have the upside. And if they watch somebody work half as hard as them and make the exact same amount of money. Nobody wants that, right? Especially not your A players. They don't want to see somebody working half as hard, making the exact same amount of money, because what's going to happen is not that person working not as hard is going to be like seeing the hardworking person and speed up and do as much work as them. No, what's going to happen is that really productive person's going to be like, why the hell am I working twice as hard to make the same amount of money? I might as well slow her down and work at that guy's speed. There's no point in me busting my ass to get all this stuff done. I'm still working faster than that guy, right? So it slows everybody down. When they're paid hourly, their only incentive is to make things take longer. And again, the fairness is gone. And there's a good I have an observation about why you can tell the fairness isn't there with hourly pay, is because the only way for them to win, for the employee to win, is for you, the employer, to lose. Right? You are at odds against one another. The only way for them to make more money is for you to have to pay more money. And that doesn't mean they got more done. That just means they stood around longer. Right? And so that being at odds with your employees is that's back to the positivity thing. That's a negativity thing. Like, you want to be working towards the same goal. And so when you do paper performance in some form or fashion, now you win when the employee wins, and the employee wins when you win. The more money they make, the more money you make. The more money you make, the more money they make. And I think one thing that's cool about it is when you write somebody a huge check, let's say they're hourly pay, and you've got some sort of bonus program, you owe them like a $2,000 bonus check. When they're paid hourly and you owe them a big check, your reaction is not a positive one. Your reaction is like, son of a bitch. Like, that's a lot of money. When they're paid on a paper performance and they get a $2,000 check, your reaction is, oh, hell yeah. Like, let me deliver this one in person, right? You are so excited for them because you're all winning at the same time. You're not at odds against one another. And that's how you can tell that it's fair, right? When you're celebrating big paychecks together instead of having a negative vibe around big paychecks. That's why I really like paper performance. Everybody's working towards the same goal. And fairness
it's so clean too. You know, I think of like a practical day or week when you're with your crew and you're talking and you bring somebody in the office and you're doing a review and you give them an extra $1 an hour. Well, it doesn't take more than a day. Then you get 3 other people going, why the hell is he getting $1 an hour? It takes that bullshit away, which happens all the time if you're paying hourly. All the time. And then you have to explain yourself. Then you have to, it's that nightmare absolutely goes away. It's just so clean.
Yep. I'm with you. Teresa says, yep, A players get the hours. They get the lead on deep cleans. They're the first I asked to train. Ellie says, wouldn't have my company without my techs. So true. It's so true. Good techs make it. This just changes everything. Teresa said, did 4 priority cleans on Monday. Lost money, but techs got the work. So happy I could provide the work. And that's just the thing, right? It's like we become their biggest cheerleaders. And what a great culture when the leadership is cheering on the techs, right? And just rooting for them and helping them and trying to make their day as efficient as possible. Like we want, if our techs can be done at 2-3 o'clock and do a full day's worth of work, how cool is that, right? Like, and then it's even cooler when one's like, hey, you got any more work? Can I sneak one more in, make a few more bucks? You're like, yeah, Mrs. Jones said we could come anytime this week. Let me just shoot her a note and let her know you're on the way, right? Like you both have the same reinforced behaviors. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, one other thing too with the percentage pay, how do you get a raise? Is it easier to raise the price on your clients when you're busting ass and balancing the quality with that performance pay? And if you're going to increase, I can increase the pay, the rate on a client for every single great productive employee that balances quality all day long. The one that's not showing up sometimes, then we have to reschedule. Then we have to, how do you get a raise? You get a raise by performance and quality. And you have control over that. You have control whether you get a raise or not.
Darlene, I love it. I wish you could see me fist pumping this. But that's how I feel when I like write a huge bonus check. It's like, get it. Go get it. And it's sticky. And then like when employees see that, you really bring down their propensity of leaving for you to go make more money. When they know that they can make more money tomorrow right here, they don't leave to go chase money, right? Because it's not about the hourly rate. It's about the upside. And when they get the upside for their hard work and they're looking at another job, and I mean, they got to understand how they get paid, right? If they don't understand how it works and they can't figure that out, maybe they weren't the right employee in the first place, right? I've seen people leave and go take less money because they didn't understand how they got paid. Yep. Goes back to the setting expectations thing. We just didn't teach them how they make their money. But man, it's like when you get to be their biggest cheerleader and they understand it, they don't leave to go try to make more money, right? They might leave because there's something that's a better fit for them. And that's the case. And you might let them go because something changed in their life that makes them no longer a good fit, but they tend to not leave as likely because of the money, because they are in control of it. They're not nervous about it. They know that they get the upside and they can go give themselves a raise tomorrow by working more and taking on another job. I want to bridge this one into the culture side of things, because there's another part of fair pay that I feel like we've done an okay job at. We can probably make it more systematized, but bonuses and other stuff like that. I think it was Daniel Pink. He's a compensation expert and writes books on it. One of the things that I read in one of his books that I like to recite is there's if-then rewards and now-that rewards. And this kind of goes to pay and kind of goes to other bonuses. But if-then rewards are the expectations. If you do this, then you get that. And that's where performance
Who's
pay
the author
fits in.
again? I'm going to put the author in the comments.
I think it's Daniel Pink.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's written a lot of good books on compensation. I just remember this one about like framing up how you think about compensation and about employee engagement, like how much they really want to be there and feel the love. And so the compensation, like the if you do this, then you get this, that's where performance pay fits in. That's where a lot of bonus structures can even fit in. And it's all about them knowing like where their bread is buttered, right? Security, understanding, good expectations. So however it's paid out, that's super important. If you do this, then you get this. That's like the carrot dangle, if you will, right? Yeah. Here's what incentivizes you, because that's what makes the company successful. That's super important. And that's where fairness comes in, because if people feel like they're treated fairly, they have a way higher likelihood to stay. And again, it's hard to define fairness, but you know it when you see it, and you know you don't have a good fair structure if you're losing a lot of good people. Then something ain't fair, right? And then there's now that rewards. So one of the things he had pointed out was if then rewards create very little employee engagement. they don't give people a reason to leave, but they don't really give them a reason to stay either. They create like a symbiosis, if you will. And so there's a happy place there, but they don't create like lifelong employee engagement. There's no aha thing in there. You're all on the same team and you're vibing together. But then he described now that rewards, which are totally unexpected and go a way longer way towards achieving employee engagement than any if-then reward. Like if-then rewards become an expectation, which again, back to setting expectations. And bonus structures can be dangerous for that reason, because if there's no bonus there, now people started to expect a bonus and they don't have it, and that's super disengaging, right? So the if-then rewards can almost be disengaging too. The now that rewards have no expectation of ever recurring again. They only have a moment in time basis of like, hey, now that you did this, here's this. Or now that you did that, here's this. I think back to Denise, and she was crushing it, doing like 18 different jobs for us back in the day. And we're like, we got to do something cool for Denise. We don't have anything in her bonus program to do something cool for her. That's not part of the job write-up. She didn't sign off on that, but we said, let's send Denise to the college volleyball championships, right? Hey, Shawn's been working his ass off. Like, I'm going to drive over and go walleye fishing with Shawn for a few days, right? Just stuff that's like unique and irreplaceable, where it's specific to that person. It's not just like, hey, everybody in the company, if we do this good, everybody gets this. That doesn't have the same feel as, hey, you individual, I see what you're doing. I appreciate it. And this isn't like a thing we can do all the time. And there's no like expectation that goes along with it. But here, we're doing this. And it's just something cool for you to say thank you. And I think back to there's been a couple where I think back and when I was reading that, when he wrote it, well, I didn't read it when he wrote it, because he wrote it and then he published it and then I read it later. But when I was reading it, I'd like flash back on these moments of time, especially with now that rewards, because I was like, damn, I couldn't tell you. Like, I got some bonuses in the corporate world that were 10,000, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I don't remember what they were. It became an expectation.
Right.
But I remember working at TD Fisher Group back in Wausau for my uncle. John Helwig was my manager. A truck showed up late with a bunch of patio doors and heavy shit on it. And I was just a truck unloading son of a gun. And he asked me to help him unload that truck. And I was like, hell yeah. Unloaded it. He bought me a can of Pepsi. I was so I was so thirsty. And I was just like, man, I just appreciated the hell out of that can of Pepsi. That was more meaningful than any $10,000 check I ever got. It was a 50-cent can of Pepsi, because that's what it used to cost when I was in high school. It was 50 cents. Stephanie Qua, she was our McDonald's manager in my business in Cargill. We went down and presented them with a bunch of different option strategies and different stuff. And I did a really good job, like bringing people together, getting them to take some action. And she was a little nervous about me. Like, I was really young for the job that I was in. Like, everybody else doing my job was 10 years older. And so I think she was really nervous, like putting me in front of her customer. Like, McDonald's was half of our business. I mean, like, in a business, our business made net profit of around 20 to 30 mil at the time. And McDonald's was like half of that. And so she was like, that was hers to manage. And she, like, if I screwed up, it was on her. Right. But we did really good and they were happy. And we got some good positions in place. And she gave me a $10 McDonald's gift card. That's it. But I was just it actually might even been a Starbucks gift card. She should have given me a McDonald's gift card if it wasn't.
Right.
But like stuff like that, the fact that was that memorable, and I couldn't even tell you what any bonus checks were that I got. Those became an expectation. The engagement and the excitement and the memory that comes along with it now that reward is much greater. Besides being doped up on the Dramamine, like, you probably remember fishing stuff more than all the shit we went through when we were figuring out how we were going to deal with COVID back in the day.
I remember getting I remember getting a big bonus check. I couldn't tell you how much it was for though, but I can tell you frickin' pretty much every detail on every fish we caught and the fish fry afterward and all that. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's more engaging. It's more fun. It's more memorable. And that always stuck with me in terms of like the fairness thing too, of how do we reward those people that are just awesome and they're in it and they're part of it and they believe it and they're bought in and they're going for it. Like sometimes there's not a compensation strategy that can say thank you enough. Right. And so now that rewards are a super cool way to just do something special for somebody that's unique to them. And it's got to be thoughtful, right? It can't just be a random ass, you know, hey, here's a friggin' basket of whatever. It's got to be blue skies. I was going to say it can't just be an edible arrangement, but we did buy Bryn an edible arrangement because all she talked about was who she wanted to get edible arrangements for.
Right.
And so that was a thoughtful one for her. That was me rambling on about pay stuff. Anything to add to that?
I would just say that I hear a lot of questions about like health insurance. I got to get health insurance. I got to tell you, from most of the home service businesses that I've ever been a part of, including at Blue Skies, what percent would you say took the insurance that we offered? 5%, less than 5% of the employees?
5 or less.
Yeah. So even I think at one point had health insurance and telehealth type of service, and neither was really used. I mean, yeah, 1 or 2 people liked it a lot.
Everybody, it was like cage-free eggs, man. Everybody wanted it. Nobody bought it.
Yep. Nobody.
Weird.
Nobody.
It's not weird because you see that happen all over the place where people like say one thing but vote totally differently with their dollars.
Yep. There's a lot of there's a lot of reasons people come to home service industries, but more importantly, small business. They don't like the corporate nonsense and they don't have those expectations. I know we compete against Amazon Warehouse now and maybe even Walmart and things like that and bigger companies. And I understand that, but you don't have to have health insurance to get great employees. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you one thing that people love, employees love, is paid time off. And I was having a couple conversations with business owners that couldn't really afford to give paid time off 7 days, then 15 days and that type of thing. Whether they could or not, I don't know. I didn't have their financials, but we had the conversation. And I said, well, why don't we survey your employees and see what is important to them? And we did that. And so what we came up with was we had some open-ended questions and we had some kind of leads that they couldn't quite see where we were leading them. And we found out a lot of info. And you wouldn't believe how thrilled people would be with 1 half-day paid Friday. Let me go at noon on Friday, pay me for the whole day, and then I've got a nice long weekend. Just once a month, they would love that. I don't know of too many companies that haven't been in business a couple of years that couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
And they love it.
I see a lot of people switch to the 4-day weeks too in the summer.
Yeah, big time.
Which can be tricky if you're exterior cleaning and it's hot as shit out. Working a 10-hour day out in the heat sometimes is a little much.
Right.
But yeah, 3-day weekend in the summer especially can go a long ways.
Yep.
I've even seen where they do 2 different shifts, 4 days and 4 days, and they have different managers for the different shifts, and then they have one overlapping day where everybody's doing like team meeting stuff.
Right.
For bigger companies that works well.
Yeah.
Here a couple comments here, and then I want to get to some culture and event things and kind of bridge that gap. So Teresa had said, we're coming up on 200 reviews. What can I do for my techs? That might be that to me falls in the if then thing, because it's not a specific thing for one specific employee. But that might be like a recurring, hey, every time we get another 50 reviews or every time we hit another 20, we're going to do something cool, right? We're going to throw a party. We're going to buy a t-shirt. We're going to get everybody shirts that says how many reviews we got on it or something. It's something that commemorates that, right? Especially in maid service, that's a shitload of reviews, Teresa, for a maid service company.
That is, man.
So good on you. Ellie's got one too. Have a tech celebrating 4 years in September.
That's awesome.
I think that's another one where it's better to do it as like if then, because if you do a now that reward tied to her anniversary, it starts to create a expectation, and you got to be careful of the expectations that you set, because now that rewards are super dependent on that person, how much money you have as a business owner to do the thing. There's just a lot, like it's so custom. If then rewards are like hey, this is built into the business model, and something we do in our bookkeeping business is at everybody's employee anniversary, we let them pick out any piece of gear for like $75 or less. It could be a vest, it could be a backpack, it could be I don't know, you name it, a polo shirt, a cooler. And then they can embroider it, stitch it, personalize it with a logo on it, but it can be like whatever color and whatever scheme they want it to be. So it's actually something they would like to wear. And so between like the shipping and the embroidery and the shirt, maybe it's $150 a year per employee, but it's a super cool employee engagement thing to have them have something business oriented that they love, right? Because every place I worked for loved to give us shitty cotton, 100% cotton, heavy, gross t-shirts that were not comfortable to wear. It's like, sure, here's a $7 rag for you to use when you're painting or to clean up an oil spill. Like I just got so many of those shirts over the years from various companies. It's like that they're just throwing them out, but whoever picked them out clearly doesn't wear them, because why would you have picked that out? Like they're just weird. Culture and events. Culture and events. Like team building events. I want to talk a little bit about team building events. Yeah, Teresa, $7 rag. You know, you probably got some like a rag bag of t-shirts of old shitty t-shirts that you don't want to wear. Actually, they're probably even not old shitty ones. A lot of times they're like new crispy ones that are just not comfortable and not something you're going to wear because the colors suck or the logo's stupid or whatever. Unlike I'm wearing a gnome packing out a unicorn. Like that's a cool t-shirt. And it's comfy. It's like a lightweight, kind of stretchy, cottony thing. Teresa says, I do. I used to be a stagehand. She did say, we're having a meeting Saturday. Would love to ask my techs what they want most. Send me the question thing you polled people on. For you, Shawn. So when I think about like culture, team building events, there's a couple things that I look for that make them memorable. One is I like to have a couple drinks for everybody, but like 2, maybe 3. And this is coming from a drinking dude. But I don't want people getting smashed, right? If they stay out afterward, I just make it really clear to them that tomorrow is a work day, right? And you got to be in the shop and you better not be hungover. So if you want to stay out for 1 or 2 more, go for it. But we got work tomorrow. We got business to do. But I like to let everybody loosen up a little bit and see me be loosey-goosey. Not that they see me any other way, because that's pretty much the only way I know how to be. I really like to, if and when I can, serve, right? I love to cook for people, whether it's doing fish fries or in Minneapolis, I'd be making breakfast sandwiches for everybody every Monday morning. And when I was in the shop, I love to do it on Monday mornings because it's a really good reason for people to show up to get a hot breakfast sandwich. Everybody would love that on Mondays. And it's sure I could go buy breakfast. Like I could buy donuts, I could buy coffee, I could buy breakfast sandwiches. But when they see me rocking the griddle, whipping up sandwiches, taking custom orders, cranking it out the way they like it, that's different. And now everybody's together and they're BSing. Literally, I could make 10 to 15 sandwiches, right? And it would cost me like $10 between some English muffins, some bagels, some eggs, some cheese, some meat, whatever. Sometimes I get some avocado, slice some avocado on there. We had a couple of avocado boys. So if the avocados were the right softness, I would load up on a couple of those. But man, like that little breakfast sandwich goes a hell of a long way to keeping people engaged and just showing up on a Monday morning and having a reason to have a good attitude. Again, back to the positive attitude thing. like that changes the mood of a Monday morning tenfold for
Big
everybody.
time.
And now people aren't like, oh, it's a Monday, blah blah. Like, sweet, we're here, we're BSing, we're hanging out with our buddies, we're talking about that funny job from this or that ball game this weekend, and we're eating our breakfast. And I thought that was a really fun, like really inexpensive thing to do that got everybody together, and it didn't cost a lot. You didn't have to break the bank.
Yeah, I think the McPlattas went a long way. Those were a big hit, man. Those were a big hit.
Everybody loves the McPlatta.
I think culture's a lot. I maybe this tends to be for newer entrepreneurs, but a lot of times I would find and have conversation, and it'd be the culture was sort of customer focused almost instead of employee focused. So I hear like we're gonna do this we're gonna be the best this or that in the county, and it's like that's a great company, but it was always sort of focused on the satisfaction of the client. Mm-hmm. So I like to call it an employee culture, employee mission statement, an employee focused culture. It's so important to make it about your employees, not anything outside of that. It's all employee, man. It's what's in it for them. And your culture, to me, it's the simplest way I look at it. It's like if you owned a restaurant or a bar, are you going to be a sports bar? Or are you going to be super fancy glasses, which is fine, and or are you going to have TVs up? Are you going to be really loud and going after a type of culture and a vibe like that? It's your vibe. What's your vibe going to be? That's what it needs to be. What kind of restaurant would you have? What kind of would you be the laundromat that's like the cheapest one? You see the person mopping around and it's kind of grungy and stuff like that. How about the one that has the bowling alley and serves beer and you can do your laundry? That's sort of how I look at culture. What is it in there? What's your vibe? What do you want it to be like? What sort of dance are you putting on, man? What sort of bar do you got going on?
I like the sports bar. Sports bar.
Yeah.
Mine might be like a sports business bar. Really good Wi-Fi, a couple like workstations if you got to jump on and get something done. And in the workstation would be your own little tap. You just
nice.
Have your own little tap there if you needed a little refill real quick.
I like that.
I did. My friend Janet had a bar that went along with her company called BevSource. It was I'm getting off topic here, but I thought this was super cool. It's called The Lab, and it was a place where they would test, like clients of theirs could test beverages they were making to see how people liked it. Nice. And they also had their lab there, which was why it was called The Lab, is because that was a service she did for all of her brewing clients was, hey, like we got to do the micros on your beverage so that you can distribute it. We can do it here and we can sample it out to the crowd and see what they think of it, right? And get some feedback on it. And there were servers and they were bouncing around. They didn't interact as much as I would have thought they would interact because they didn't need to pour you beers because you just went up to the thing and hit the button and it would give you your beer. And so they didn't really need bartenders. They had people like cleaning stuff up, but I was like, that'd be a cool thing to have like some employees just going around doing what bartenders do best, which is just BSing with people. Like the best bartenders can keep conversations going with like 8 different people about what the hell they got going on. Yep. Like that should be their job. They don't need to pour you beer. They just need to like keep you talking, keep you drinking, bring you some pretzels or some peanuts or whatever you need. Keep that vibe going and clean up after you.
Dude, if you can afford it and you've got enough people and your business has some cash flow going, I would highly recommend not a full-time position, but I'd hire your most positive employee and call them the culture manager. And their job is they're a technician, but part of their job is to make sure that the culture is fit in the company and it's really, really airtight and it's day in and day out. You're managing our culture. And if something's going goofy or someone's going goofy, we need to fix it.
Yep.
It's that important. I mean, culture is so freaking important, man. But it's so hard to manage it kind of every single day.
It just goes back to like the culture is the result. The culture is the result of everything that you do. So it's really hard to change it. It's just like trying to change your P&L. Like if you want to get more profitable, there's a couple things you can do right now, but there's a lot of investments, and to really change the structure of your business, it can take years to see the result come through. And the culture is the result. Like, we talk about building a good culture, but that's like building a profitable business. It would be as if you were slicing the ball, Shawn, and I was like, oh, I know what you should do. You just got to stop. You just got to hit it more to the left and not so curvy, like, right? That's all you got to do to stop slicing it. I feel like when people are like, oh, you got to build a better culture. It's like, that's not saying anything. It's a platitude, right? You got to be more positive. Okay. How the fuck? Like, what? Like, where do you even start, right? And I think we've hit on a whole shitload of things to help instill that culture. I want to talk about just some events, because I think company events, they can go off the rails. Like I said, I suggest a 2 to 3 drink limit, but just getting people together, right? They don't all have to be buddies, but like when we were in St. Louis, I'd have them bring family with, because like the family needs to be a part of it too. Anytime you're doing that company stuff, like let them bring spouses and try to let them bring kids or whatever else. So I'm curious, anybody that's still on here, what you guys have done. But we did some bowling ones, we did laser tag, we did whirly ball, we did go-karts. Whirly ball is a lot of fun. If you guys ain't done whirly ball before, you missing out. It's like basketball, go-kart, lacrosse,
and bumper cars.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just perfect. It's the perfect sport. But man, that was a lot of fun.
It is.
And it's just, I mean, that especially is just constant laughs. Like, you're just giggling the whole time you're doing it. It's the perfect way to hang out with your team. Like, an activity where people are just laughing and BSing the whole time. I think go-karts is really fun. Like, if you have a good go-kart place, it's competitive. People are laughing. They're getting at each other, right? They're kind of ribbing each other and bumping each other and all that stuff. Like, super, super fun way to have a good time, build a relationship in a way. Like, you're probably going to BS about your business stuff and your job stuff, but it's a bit of a distraction, if you will.
And like, bowling's cheap, whirly ball's cheap. It's real inexpensive, and it's one of those things that lasts a while too. It's not like, you're whatever, you're not at the office doing something, trying to be social and forcing things. It's like really easy, and it takes some time to do it, and there's a lot of fun to it, man. There's just a lot of fun to it.
If I don't know if I would do this with the pressure washing crew, although it would be actually really funny. I could see it going really well, but like one of those things, I don't even know where you do them, but where it's like you get together and you paint and drink. And you're all like, there's an instructor, and it's like, here's what we're painting, and then they show you how to paint it. Marty and I did that with like a group of friends, and I thought it was going to be stupid, and I was like, I just don't want to go paint, but like, I like these people, let's go hang out with them. And man, and granted, like, if I'm there, I'm having a good time, right? Like, no sense sitting around pouting. So I'm just being a wise ass, cracking jokes, and the teacher instructor dude was like with it. They were just cracking shit back at me. I went off the rails with mine. Like, they kind of show me how to do the background, and everybody's like painting this lighthouse in the middle of their thing. Mine's off to the side. I got the ocean down here with some jagged rocks and a shark swimming around. Like, I kind of did exactly what you would expect Dan Plot to do, which is go a little rogue. But that was super fun, and I could totally see that being a fun team building thing. And then you put all the paintings up on the wall in your shop if you have an office.
Yeah,
like, hey, here's all the paintings. Just like, it's not expensive.
I did a mystery dinner thing once, and I never broke character. As soon as I was in character, dude, I never broke character, and it was just, we had a blast with that. That was really fun.
Teresa said they've got a place down in Tulsa called Main Event, basically like Chuck E. Cheese, like probably a Dave and Buster's style thing.
I can see Teresa in those big the all the balls on top of her, the plastic thing, like a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Darlene says, GD, I want a bumper car with you guys. That'd be fun. Bring it. We'll whirly ball it.
There you go.
Amy says, pizza and beer seems to be my crew's favorite, but they like craft night too with beer. To my comment about doing the painting, she said, that's what I'm talking about. Reese Pottery. Teresa said they did that as well. But I think
what do you think about something like volunteering together? Something like that, I think, super cool too.
A lot of times at Kahuna, we do that. We'll do like a volunteer half day, and then the afternoon we go do go-karting or whatever. And we try to do like 2 a season, one in the spring, one in the fall. One after our super busy season ends, or even like a break midway through the super busy season where it's just like hoofta, like give me a day, like give me a Friday. And then we'll do one right about now, kind of right between now and like mid-September, because by mid-September it starts picking back up and it's like, all right, everybody, time for that last like 2 to 3 month push here, but like to do a little something. Darlene says, set it up, I'll show. Teresa says walking shelter dogs would be
that's cool. Good idea.
That's cool as long as you get good dogs, right? Who's your good boy? Yeah, you don't want one of your cleaners getting going to the ER or something because they get the wrong dog. But I think any of those events, if done right, are just a cool way to like build the relationships. And like you need your crew, again, if you're recruiting the right people, you need them to have each other's back, right? And have it be more than just we work at the same place together. Like you need them to be like, oh, Dave's out today. I got Dave. Like I got his back. What do we need to do? Let me pick up his stuff. He would do the same for me, right? And you get that from doing things a little beyond working. So I think I'm spent, Shawn. We're an hour and a half in, and I got up at 4 a.m. But what do you got?
The last thing I would do is I think his name's Dr. Henry Clay. If you want to understand, like remember the good, the evil, what was it? The wise, the evil, and the good or something like that?
The wise, the foolish, and the evil, I think.
Yeah, you can YouTube him. It's Dr. Henry Clay. That was really insightful for me to kind of understand what sort of employee you actually have. And that was just, he goes into it a lot deeper on how to look at that. But Henry Clay.
I like this one. Darlene said we do a 5K as a crew. That's pretty sweet. I get down on a 5K. We used to do one. I was on the board for junior achievement of the upper Midwest, and we would put on an event called the 401K because it's a financial literacy group. So you'd run a 4.01K race. It's pretty sweet. I never got to run it though because I was always too busy volunteering for it, so I didn't get to jog.
I'm going to try to post my calendar in here real quick. If anybody wants to get on with me and just talk about culture or maybe help, I can work out. I've got a couple different ways that I can help yourself put the culture together, core values, vision statement, that sort of thing. It's yours to do, but I can help guide you on how to do it. And it's worked out for a lot of people that I've helped out with that.
I dig it. And I think that's kind of what we all need is it's one of those things that it's hard to get started on.
Yeah.
Like it helps to have another business owner that's been there, that's done it, that watches. He says, what the heck is a 401k? I don't know. It's a retirement thing. My wife does it. That's all I know. But yeah, so as we come to a close here on our recruiting webinar series, again, if you just caught this one, go back and catch 1, 2, 3, and 4. Labor market research, writing sexy job ads, filtering applicants, because if you do the first 2 right, you're going to get hundreds and hundreds of applicants. And if you listen to us and you spend a decent amount on boosting, which you should, you want to have a huge pool of applicants and you filter them like crazy. Then do group interviews to be efficient, to actually find the right people. I can't talk enough about group interviews, but I'm not going to talk about it right now because I'm really tired because I've been up for forever. But go back and listen to episode number 4. And then today was just all about how do you retain them? Because again, you can recruit the heck out of these people. And recruiting and hiring are different. Again, like Shawn mentioned it a couple times, I'm sure I mentioned it, but it's okay to be recruiting when you don't need people. That's actually when you want to recruit. Like ABC, always be recruiting. Recruit people when you don't need them so that when you do need them, you have your hit list. My new number is 10. I'm not stopping recruiting until I have 10 people in my hopper. I just found that worked phenomenally well as I've scaled up my business this kind of first run to getting my first 5 account managers. I'm going to do it again for the next 5. I wish I would have done that every business that I've ever had instead of reactively hire people and get frustrated.
Sleep better at night that way, man.
Teresa said she's all about doing the group interview. She said, you guys taught me culture. We're pros. And it's one of those things. Check me if I'm wrong, Teresa, but when you get it right and you see how your teams, there's no right. There's always room for improvement, right? But as it improves and you see it improve and your team's bought in and you're attracting the right type of people, like the great culture attracts more of those types of people, and it's exponential. It exponentially builds. And damn, it makes business way more fun to do. Like when business is that much fun, like it just gets more and more and more fun. And when things do suck, they don't suck nearly as hard because you're surrounded by a bunch of really good people solving problems with you. Darlene says, before this ends, thank you guys for all of this. It's been rock star. She typoed, and I just think typos are fun to make fun of. She says, it's been a rock star. Amy said, better choices made. Oh, now that she came back in with the asterisk star.
It's all good. All good.
Well, appreciate you guys hanging in there till the bitter end. Well, it's not bitter end. What would be the positive version of bitter? Till the sweet end. Thanks for hanging in there till the sweet end. These are going to live on forever. And so there's probably some nuggets in here. Jeff Ford in the house. Jeff, you missed it. Was the last hour and a half was all the good stuff. Now we're just shutting her down. But thanks for checking in, homie. But yeah, you guys I don't know if I can tell you enough. Don't underinvest in recruiting. When your team is awesome and you're putting your investment there, your life is so much better. You deserve it. Your other employees deserve it. Their coworkers deserve it. Your customers deserve it. So just be awesome at recruiting and make it more fun and have a good time making more money. That's all I got to say. That's it. That's all I got to say. 5 episodes of ranting at you. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on this, too.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Business nerds, you guys know what to do. Work smarter and harder. Go earn yourself some pride. We'll see you tomorrow night. I might have Chris Jones on tomorrow night. I got to check my lineup. My lineup. Shawn, maybe I'll see you on the radio tomorrow if you're not out.
Probably.
Tree branches and stuff.
All right, my man.
All right. Night, everybody.
Bye-bye.